So guys, we're hooked up. That was 6 feet deep on one of my watermelon fisheye Pro Dodgers, 4-incher, and a threaded worm on the lead core. Fantastic. Goody, goody, goody. He's battling. He is battling. Oh, it's a nice fish. That's why he's battling. That's a chunk. That is a big trout. Keep working the rod, working the rod. If he thrashes, put the tip in the water. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a big fish. Dude, you played him like a champion. Look at that fish. Look at that.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah. He's getting bigger by the second, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Right there, 5-pounder. Awesome. Totally awesome. Howdy guys, Cal Kellogg here. Welcome back to the channel. We're between storms here in the Sierra Nevada foothills. So if you hear some noise in the background, it's my neighbors out running chainsaws and stuff. They're taking advantage of the sunshine to clean up their property a little bit, but I think you can hear me just fine. Today, I want to talk about Dodgers and how to properly use Dodgers and how to properly select Dodgers. There is no doubt that Dodgers are an indispensable part of your trout trolling tackle box. You absolutely have to have them. Some days without Dodgers, you aren't going to catch any fish. Having said that, I'm a full-time fishing guide. I spend a lot of time out at the lake. I get to see boats in the marina. I get to see guys coming off the ramp, and I always check out what they're pulling. And all too often, I'll see guys that have every rod on their boat rigged up with a 6-inch Dodger just like that. Now, there's nothing wrong with 6-inch Dodgers. I love them, but you don't want to be using them every day. And most of the time, you don't want to be starting out with them on your line. Here's my basic philosophy when it comes to Dodgers, okay? On one hand, there are situations where you have to have a Dodger or Dodgers in the water to catch fish, all right? But Dodgers also have some important drawbacks. Sometimes a Dodger will put the fish off the bite. It will actually scare the fish away. Lots of times, Dodgers help you lose fish. And they do that because it gives the fish something to fight against, something to form slack against, and that allows them to shake the hook. Dodgers also put drag into your rig. So when you're reeling in, let's say you're reeling in, you got big rainbow on, you're reeling them in, and he charges the boat, and you're trying to reel fast to keep up. Well, that Dodger can hinder that at times, and it can allow that trout to overrun your gear. So just like everything else in life, Dodgers have benefits, but they also have, you know, demerits against them. They can help you and they can hurt you. So here's my philosophy on Dodgers in general, okay? In a perfect world, I would prefer to run my lures naked because I don't have the drawbacks of having a Dodger on the line. But if I think I need Dodgers, my philosophy is this, with one exception. I like to start off with the smallest Dodger that I think I can get by with. And a lot of times you'll see me in videos and I'm using my mini willow leaf. I'm using these Dodgers because they make the absolute smallest impact possible on my rig. They don't offer a lot of resistance and they don't offer the fish, you know, a lot in the way of forming slack in the line. What these do is they just kind of, what I like to say, they throw out your calling card. They draw fish within range, then they spot the morsel that I'm trolling behind the Dodger. They decide that that's something good to eat and they hit it. So I use these small blades to draw fish in from a distance. That's really what I use most Dodgers for. Sometimes I use a Dodger to impart action to a lure that doesn't have any action, like a fly or maybe a tube, but most of the time I'm using a Dodger to attract fish into my spread. Now, if I don't think that, you know, mini willow leaf is enough, I don't go right to a big giant 6-inch fisheye pro like that. You know, I work my way up in size. Maybe I reach for a compact a Sierra Diamondback like that, or maybe I just go to a Magnum willow leaf like that, which is, you know, much larger than the mini willow leaf, but significantly smaller than a 6-inch Fisheye Pro. But you see where I'm going with this. I work my way from no Dodgers to small Dodgers to medium-sized Dodgers to large Dodgers, okay? That's my basic philosophy. I would rather, if I have to have a Dodger on my line and I'm gonna hook a 10-pound trout, I would rather hook that trout with a mini willow leaf in my line than I would with a 6-inch, you know, full-size Dodger in my line, because that large blade is gonna add some advantage to the fish in terms of getting away, throwing the hook, forming slack in my line. So, you know, the big blades do come with significant drawbacks. Now, the one exception to that philosophy is when I am in big open water situations. Let's say we're at Lake Shasta, or we're out in the middle of Lake Berryessa, we're out in deep water, there's fish and bait scattered throughout the water column, you know, and we need to attract fish to our spread in order for them to see our threadfin shad imitations. In that situation, I want to run a large Dodger. And did you notice I said a large Dodger? I don't automatically put these on all 4 of the rods I'm running that day. I put it on 1 rod. I've seen this in action. Lots of times, if you put a 6-inch blade like that on 1 rod, all 4 of your rods will start catching fish. That 1 blade is enough to pull fish within range to locate your individual lures, okay? So I'll start off with 1 rod rigged with a Dodger. I might have another rod rigged with a smaller Dodger, or I might have the other 3 rods rigged with no Dodgers at all, just pulling naked lures. But my basic philosophy on Dodgers is go from none to small to medium to large, and limit the number of Dodgers in your spread as much as possible. The same goes for flashers. If I'm pulling traditional flashers or even turbo flashers, I seldom arm every rod in the spread with flashers. Usually 1 set of flashers is enough to draw fish in near the boat. Well, from there, they'll use their lateral lines and they'll locate your naked offerings. So remember, Dodgers are just something that are most frequently used, at least by me, as a business cart, something that draws fish into range. Use the smallest Dodger you can get away with, and you're gonna lose less fish in the long run, and that means in the long run, you're gonna land more and bigger trout. And that's our goal here on the channel. That's probably a philosophy on Dodgers you've never heard before. I've spent a lot of time out on the water experimenting. I've spent a lot of time thinking about this, and that advice will serve you well. Try to go with no Dodgers, and when you're convinced you have to have a Dodger on your line, go from small to large. A little bit of Dodgers goes a long way in most situations. I'm Kel Kellogg. You think about that for a while, put that to use when you're out on the water, and you're gonna be yelling fish on more often, and you're gonna be landing more and bigger trout. I'll catch you next time, guys, right here on YouTube.